Hey guys, so today was a fun discussion that I had for the first time in months. First time in months, I had a good intellectual discussion with somebody that knows what the fuck they're talking about. You know how enlightening that is? You know how enlightening that is when you talk to somebody that understands something and can agree on certain things. Oh, agreeing on the internet. How dare you? This whole brain rot community that we're having now is just disgusting. I'm just going to say this before I go to the story here and what discussion this was and pertains to the video, and maybe you'll learn something. It's disgusting. Every bit of information that you have, that you can learn, is for free. This hobby does not, for me, stop with just putting in a couple of CDs and listen to music all day. I read continuously. I learn continuously. And when I'm wrong and I get corrected, there has to be a rule. There has to be some critical thinking behind it and maybe some good argumentation that I can do something with that. But 9 out of 10 times, it's not there. It's just something that is there, and that was the way it was back in the 80s. Times have changed. Things have changed. Technologies have changed. But anyways, to come back on this, reflects kind of how I hate interacting on social media for the most part. But it's like a shit magnet. Sometimes you have subjects you get drawn to. So Angela Gilbert, who was for, I think it was Blue Circle Audio, uh, makes amplifiers. He is a huge fan of capacitor banks with amplifiers. And pretty cool with his amplifiers. You can buy separate capacitor banks in different sizes. He believes that, with the current ripple, etc. And I commended him for it. I follow him. He's a very eccentric person. I'm not per se a fan of his silicone putty work, but I do understand his design philosophy, which I admire. A good amplifier, it's got to have a very solid power supply and definitely a very good capacity to handle dynamic peaks. I think everybody agrees on that, especially Class A, Bs. Now you could debate he doesn't overdo it, or maybe some people overdo it, sure, but he makes good design amplifiers. And then I read on his page, he got into a discussion with somebody. Yeah, but you never release THD numbers, and you never release specs in terms of THD and intermodulation distortion, etc. See, these are the type of people that scream shit like that really are hell bent on these white spec sheets that absolutely are lost at this. Let me explain something to you, and this is something that Angela agreed with completely. He actually thanked me for typing this out. I'm not going too deep into the technicalities of it, but all these little specs that you see, THD 0.1%, damping factors 500 to 1,000, mean absolutely nothing to you. They're absolutely inconsequential for your audio enjoyment. Now, why is that, you think? There's a very logical thought behind this. These type of specs are controlled specs. They mean nothing in the real world. When they put a dummy load on an amplifier and they measure it and they put that measurement on a white sheet, do you think that dummy load is reacting like your speaker does? No, it doesn't. Do we listen to test tones? No, we don't. Music is dynamic. Music changes everything. Different loudspeakers on amplifiers changes everything. To put it in an analogy, when you go to a dealership, a car dealership, and you look at the sticker price, and what do you see? What do most people look for, aside from the sticker price, is the miles to the gallon. I want a car that doesn't eat my money so fast. 34 miles to the gallon. When you buy the damn thing, you will never get to that. Why? Well, we have hills. We have different winds from different directions, different roads. This is a little bit of a sandy road, a little bit more traction. Wait a minute, you got different tires on it than we did in the laboratory. Controlled test numbers are really not consequential for you as a listener. it's also something you really shouldn't look for. My amplifier goes 0.00000 point infinite point one THD. It doesn't say anything about the quality of the amplifier. Same with wattages. It's also such an annoying thing. Well, I have 300 watts per channel, and a 4 ohm is going to do 700 or 800 watts per channel. So, what's your fucking point? Tell me where's the quality coming in? But watts dictate quality. Somebody told me this today in that very discussion. It's okay. Explain to me why. Because it's more watt. That's not how it works. Really? See, really. I can guarantee you that this amplifier here, it's 150 watts, so 8 ohm amplifier, sounds better than my Crown that shits out 375 in the same, 700 watts per channel in Class D. Not because it's a Class D. I'm not knocking Class D. Crown's XLS 2502s are great amplifiers. They even measure pretty favorable for the power numbers that they shit out. But there's also something to be said about the overall design of an amplifier. And that somehow translate to a different characteristical sound that I prefer out of this amplifier. Now comes the question, could I blindfoldedly pick him out? I argue, probably not. Crazy, isn't it? But I still prefer that. It's strange. Very strange. Right? However, I've done the blind test, and guess what? I did pick that one out. I could hear it was the Class D. It has a certain edginess to it. Doesn't mean it's a worse amplifier, but more watts by itself does not mean it's a better amplifier. It's nonsense. It's bullshit. It's complete hokum. Makes no fucking sense. It's the same when you see these people that drive Klipsch. Now I have a KG5. Drive Klipsch with a huge Wattage because it sounds so much better. Motherfucker, those things will run on a mosquito fart. What are you talking about? You tap into maybe half a watt if you're lucky. Now you could say the characteristic of that Wattage sounds better to me. I believe that, but not because it's more watts. Okay, so I wanted to put that out there. I think that some of you will not agree with this. Some of you will understand what I'm trying to say, but I just wanted to point it out there. It was a refreshing conversation, and there was 3 people involved, and we were all respectful. We were all kind. We all came to a main consensus on it. Isn't that refreshing? We can actually talk to people without losing your shit, without getting irritated by ignorance, or being intervened by people that want to sleazeball their way into it and they really don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I'm not a technician, but I've read a lot. I understand certain principles. It's part of this hobby. You got to keep up, right? It's free information. You can read. You can learn new things. Share it with other people. But I think we've forgotten that on the internet for the most part. Anyways, I wanted to point that out there. That amplifier specs are rather insignificant for the most part. Yeah, it tells you somewhat of, okay, it's a weighty amplifier, Class AB, it weighs about 40 pounds, 60 pounds, has good power supply. So it's a stable amplifier. That's what you can conclude out of it. Does it sound great? You don't know. That is indicative to the whole design of the damn thing. And all these manufacturers, they all do different things. They have their own philosophies with it, their own little part choices with it, their own little circuit designs with it. That all influences the sound. Now, you can debate, does it make a huge difference? I don't know. I hear a massive difference between the LS3 and the previous preamp that I had. Ooh, crazy. I was surprised actually, but it did. So, guys, I just wanted to point that out there. Hopefully you like this video. Maybe I get some traction this time.